Welcome to Reality Bites, and hello to everyone in the Australian Hairdressing Council. I'm Neil Osborne, and my business is called The Sales Catalyst. I founded The Sales Catalyst more than 7 years ago to help business owners and their teams to grow and prosper. We focus on educating the hair, beauty and body industries around one single behaviour. That one single behaviour, when mastered, can truly change your business life, your clients' in salon experiences, and your team's attitude and enjoyment of the day. So what do? We teach the skill of persuasion. And why is that skill of persuasion so important? Well, to sum it up, in Carmine Gallo's book, 5 Stars, he states that in this 21st century knowledge-based economy, you are only as valuable as your ideas. The ability to convince others that your ideas matter is the single greatest skill that will give you a competitive edge. He concludes by saying, in the next decade, your ideas and the ability to articulate those ideas successfully will count more than ever. Persuaders are irreplaceable, he concludes. Let's bring that into our industry. When a client makes an appointment or visits your salon, generally, they've already made up their mind as to what they want. Your job during the consultation is to move them from what they want to what they need, and then let them purchase it. Oh, by the way, from my experience, the profit arrives when the clients buy what they need, not just what they want. See, most people in our industry try to move their clients through telling, but this doesn't usually work, does it? Now, asking and listening gets you to yes more often. And they're the base skills of persuasion. Remember though, persuasion isn't only about getting people to buy your service or product, because you might be able to get them to buy, but are they happy with the process, let alone the purchase? And that's what's more important, and that's ultimately what delivers your customer satisfaction. My style of persuasion is about getting yourself out of the way, that's right, out of the way, and letting your client buy. Because when they buy, they're at their happiest, more likely to tell others, to return, and as well as refer you. So today, let's talk about that first step in persuasion. When you observe your team trying to recommend, generally, the one thing they're all doing is talking to, or sometimes, well, they're even talking at the client. The first step in being persuasive is to acknowledge that telling ain't selling. A telling style is all about pushing. Push wears you out. It's literally exhausting. As you may have noticed, the more you push, the more the client pulls away. Conversely, if you focus on a pull style of persuasion, this brings the client to you. And that feeling, well, it's uplifting, it's fulfilling, it's enjoyable. So to make the change to persuading people, there are 2 very simple skills that you need to master. The first is the ability to ask power questions. Fundamentally, there are 2 styles of questions that we use in our industry. The first is what I hear most, closed questions. They're generally, short questions, and they're hunting or pushing for a yes. Sometimes they're delivered as a leading question, which again pushes the client in a certain predetermined direction. Worst of all, I've even seen some people ask those questions and then in the heat of the moment, answer it as well. The other type of questions are the gold, the really good questions, and they are the open-ended ones. They're the ones you can use when you want to gather information. when you want to find out more or encourage the client to open up so you can better understand their perspective. Open-ended questions are those that start with who, what, when, how. They can also start with why. However, I find that clients can, sometimes misunderstand that why, especially if it comes with a little bit of attitude. Not good. So your goal here is to build a bank of good, open-ended power questions that start conversations and lets you get to understand more about where the client's coming from and what's important to them from their perspective. Now, to support this first skill, you need to add a second, an equally important skill, the skill of active listening. Look, in all honesty, most people don't listen well at all. And in most cases, people are listening with the intent to interrupt. You know, while they appear to be listening, what they're really doing is looking for the next opportunity to interrupt, to butt in, to put their point of view forward. Again, this behaviour can be quite exhausting. Your goal is to shift to a position of actively listening with the intent to understand the client's perspective. The way you do that is to participate in the client's conversation with slight acknowledgements. You know, yep, oh, okay, interesting. This slight gestures keeps the conversation going. The client keeps sharing more and more about what's important to them. So I'd like to challenge you to shift from telling and pushing to instead getting to yes by asking and listening. During this coming week, observe who's talking most, you or the client. Start to think about your power questions. You know, they're the open-ended ones, the ones that get to the clients, or the ones that get the client to open up, I suppose, and, you know, are willing to explore what they need, not just what they want. Really good questions. However, I'm sure you realise you'll need to practice these two introductory persuasive skills. After all, you don't get a set of abs by just showing up at the gym. You need to do the work. So until I see you next time, whenever you hear persuasion, think of me and think of how you can be growing your business. Bye for now.